Welcome, everybody. This meeting is called to order at 1:02 p.m. Please note the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube webpage. By registering to participate in the meeting by electronic means, you are consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. I will now read the township's recognition statement. The township is currently developing a formal land acknowledgement statement. We recognize that when the first Euro-Canadian settlers arrived in what is now Puslenge Township, the Anishinaabe ancestors of the Mississaugas of Credit First Nation had long established hunt camps in the area. Through written and verbal accounts, we understand that the Anishinaabe interacted with the settlers in a friendly and cooperative manner. It is acknowledged that the development of the township encroached upon their traditional way of life, resulting in their displacement. I will now do a roll call of those in attendance. Andy?
Present.
Christine?
Here I am.
Lily?
Hello.
Chris?
Here.
Myself. There we go. And we'll just note that Josh is absent in today's meeting. We'll now take a moment of reflection. Thank you. And the next agenda item is the confirmation of the agenda. It was previously circulated to each of you and posted on the township website prior to the meeting. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda as it was circulated? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask Lisa to read the resolution.
That the Heritage Advisory Committee approves the May 1st agenda as circulated.
We have a mover, Chris.
Seconder, Christine.
Christine. On support. Passed. Great. Next item on our agenda is a disclosure of conflict of interest. Does anybody have any disclosures of conflict of interest that they would like to acknowledge? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda. I don't believe we have any delegations that have been identified for today's meeting, which moves us to the consent agenda. So there's a number of items in the consent agenda. Those were previously circulated within the meeting briefing notes. Are there any consent agenda items that the committee would like to pull out for further discussion at all? And maybe one thing I'll just make note of, just because we have a relatively new committee. So typically what township staff will do when they provide the consent agenda is it's a listing of communication that the townships received in respect to the Heritage Committee. So if there, what I'd encourage each of you to do is when we see the agenda come out and the briefing notes, go through those. A lot of them are for information purposes, and that's perfectly fine. But if there are any items in there that you think are worthy of a discussion in reference to Puslenge Township, that's a great opportunity just to either identify them, ask any clarifying points to staff, so on and so forth. And if there are any action items that come out of those, this is a good opportunity. If there are anything that we'd like to have further discussion on into the future, just a bit of context for everybody as to how that works. So hearing nothing getting pulled out, Lisa, can you read the resolution, please?
That the consent agenda items listed for May 1st, 2023 Heritage Advisory Committee meeting be received for information.
Can we have the mover?
Sure, Christine will move.
Thank you. And a seconder? Andy, thanks. Any dissenters? All right, pass. And now we're into the committee reports. So report HER 2023-007, the finance and budget training report. And I believe we have Mary online that'll walk us through a presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. And it's very nice to see the committee here. So I'll just quickly go through the report. I know it was included on your agenda package, and I can also answer any questions from the committee as well as part of this report. So this is a new report that the finance department has created for the committee's information alongside with the clerk's department. And we thought that this would be important information to share with all of our committees, just so that committees understand, the tight deadlines around budget and the approval process surrounding budget, as well as some of our policies for the committee's information. Lisa, is it possible for me to share my screen?
Just bear with me a moment. I'll see if I can give you. You should be able to, or will I have to give her?
The green, see share screen with the little arrow at the bottom?
Yep.
See the arrow there? You click it, advanced settings.
Can I also at this moment ask for the Wi-Fi password here?
You should be able to share now. Mary.
Go through the doors.
I can't look at the.
And then if the clerk's team would like me to share my video, I can, but right now it's saying that I can't start my video. So if that's.
Lisa, if you want to go into see the little dots at the bottom. I think you can enable everyone to share video. Do you see the little dots at the bottom?
I clicked on it.
No, at the bottom there, yeah. Should say allow participants.
You should be able to turn your video on now.
Okay, great. So hopefully everyone can see my screen, but I'm just going to walk through the report. Again, this is a new report that we're providing to all of our committees, and just discussing the budget process and some of the timelines associated with the budget, including the committee's responsibilities as it relates to submitting 2024 budget requests, alongside a goals and objectives proposal form and a memo. The goal is that the whole committee as a whole approves any items that you would like to be provided to council as part of the budget process. So our 2023 capital and operating budget was approved in February. There were no 2023 capital budget items applicable to the committee. However, this page here just explains some of the approved operating budget increases that were approved by council. And there were some base budget increase forms for these approvals, as well as advisory committee goals and objective proposal forms that were provided to council with information regarding the requests. So we have been successful again with hiring a Heritage Summer student. And this position was incorporated in the budget, but it was contingent on obtaining grant funding. So luckily Justine did a great job with her grant application to the program, and we recently were notified of a success for this program. So one of the schedules included in this report is the approved operating budget. And so there were a couple of increases in line items. One of the increases relates to office supplies and equipment, and it relates to the Doors of Puss Lynch Posters initiative, which is a multi-year initiative with budgeted sales and printing expenses associated with it. We've attached as a schedule to this report the base budget increase form that was approved by council, as well as the advisory committee goals and objectives proposal form that was created by the committee for this initiative. There was also an increase in mileage, professional development, meals, accommodation, related to the base budget increase for the National Trust Conference initiative that was approved. This was added as a second conference for 2 committee members to attend. And again, the base budget increase form that was approved by council is attached as a schedule to this report. Council also approved the anticipated statutory advertising costs associated with a heritage designations due to the implementation of Bill 23. And so we've incorporated a schedule in this report just related to the base budget increase form that was approved by council. So I'll just, if Courtney or Justine or Lisa want to add to anything that I've indicated, perhaps we can get them to add to anything at the end of this presentation. So again, any new 2024 budget requests must include a committee memo and an advisory committee goals and objectives proposal form, and it must be approved by the committee as a whole. I've provided these forms as a schedule to this report, just so that the committee is aware of what the forms look like. As of the date of publishing the report, we have not received any 2024 budget requests, but we are providing the committee until June 5th. Justine or Lisa would be able to provide better deadlines, but I believe the June 5th, 2023 committee meeting for the committee's approval for any 2024 budget requests. And for those, we need the committee memo and the completed advisory committee goals and objectives proposal form. And it needs to be submitted to the committee secretary for review by the municipal clerk and myself prior to us presenting this information to council as part of 2024 budget deliberations. And so some of this can be provided in the chart format in this table here. So after we receive an approved item from the committee as a whole, then it's the department head's responsibility to work on a base budget increase request or a capital budget sheet pertaining to any new requests that come forward. So here I've just incorporated some information related to our budget development and control policy. This policy was adopted in 2021, and it's really helpful in serving as a guideline for the development and control of our annual budgets. I've included the link on our website, which includes all of our budget information. Just a high-level summary of some of the information within this policy that may be applicable to the committee is just information regarding capital budget sheets, which are prepared by department heads for any proposed projects. So for our 2024 budget process, it would include any 2024 capital budget items. And so some of the information in there includes a brief description of the project, the need for the project, any operating cost impacts. So a lot of capital projects also have operating cost impacts, and any links to plans or studies or inspections. So some of our methodology around operating budget items is incorporated here. So I'm not going to go through each of the items, but similar to a capital budget sheet that's required for capital items, we also have base budget increase requests that are required for operating items to be provided to council for their review and approval if they do approve any of those items. I've also included as a schedule to this report the council committees and other appointments, compensation, benefits, and expense policy, and our expense report template and conference expense guide. Those are all included in this report should any of you attend any conferences on behalf of the township. I know that in the past, there have been some questions about our community improvement plan and its relevance or its alignment with the Heritage Advisory Committee. And so I've provided just a summary of information about what our community improvement plan is and some of the items that would be applicable to the Heritage Committee I've incorporated here. Since we adopted the community improvement plan in 2016, we have received 2 applications, which we have provided grant funding for. And one of these applications included 42 Queen Street, which is listed on the township's heritage register. And so this application was provided to the Heritage Committee as a consent item, just to obtain any comments from the Heritage Committee that council could review prior to approving the grant agreement. So again, I think one of the key items to come out of this this report is that any new 2024 budget requests, we do need the committee memo and the advisory committee goals and objectives proposal form. And there are deadlines associated with our budget process. So I know for the June 5th meeting, if you can work with Lisa and Justine on any specific proposals that you have in order for us to provide them to council as part of budget deliberations. And so that the department head can work on the base budget increase form or a capital budget sheet, whichever would be applicable to any of the items. I know that there are some committee goals and objectives that don't have a budget implication. So those can also be, I believe, worked on with Lisa and Justine and Courtney as part of your June meeting. So I'd be happy to answer questions. I can go through these schedules really quickly. So this is just a schedule of what was approved as part of the 2023 budget. And I did summarize some of the trending within the body of the report. This was one of the 2023 base budget increases that were approved by council. And it does relate to the Doors of Puslinch posters. So when I say base budget increase form, this is a form that would have been prepared by Courtney and Justine. But it also includes the advisory committee goals and objectives proposal form as a schedule to the base budget increase request. So this is one example that's been provided in the past. So another base budget increase that was approved by council was the National Trust Conference, as I previously indicated. And so this was the base budget form that we provided to council for their approval. And then this relates to a base budget increase that was approved related to the statutory advertising costs for heritage designations due to Bill 23. So this is the advisory committee goals and objectives standard operating procedure that can be reviewed prior to submitting a goals and objective committee memo and the proposal form. So these are just templates that you have in your tools if you do want to provide any new requests for 2024. And this is just our policy on compensation, benefits, and expense policy. And there are specific items related to the committees that are noted within the policy. If there are any specific questions on the policy, I'd be happy to answer. We did provide a condensed, so this is the expense report form that would be required if you do have any township related expenses that are eligible in accordance with the policy. And then this is a condensed version of the conference expense guide for advisory committees for any members that are planning to attend a conference that's been already approved by council. So this is a nice condensed version of some of the things that you should be take into account if you are attending a conference. So if Courtney, Justine, or Lisa want to add to anything that I missed just regarding some of the specific initiatives for heritage, you guys can do that, or if I missed anything on this report.
I just have one additional thing just to mention as well. Just with the expense forms for members, if you're looking to recover costs that were spent if you're at a conference or what have you. In addition to the form, just really important to keep those detailed receipts. That's what forms backups for finance. So it's something just to remember when you're out and about, just make sure you keep those somewhere safe so you can submit them to staff.
Yes, that's a very good point. Thanks, Courtney. We do need the itemized receipts so that we see exactly what was expended. And this is a policy that we have for both township staff and council members as well. So just the itemized receipts would be great.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Something went by quickly here. Are we compensated for coming to these meetings, or was that just for conferences?
No, you are, there is a meeting rate, so we do provide that compensation at the end of the year after all of the meetings have been attended. And so the clerk's team will provide us with that information.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Do we have any other questions for Mary from any other of the committee members? Great, thanks, Mary. I appreciate that in the detail, and certainly in the briefing note that came out, there's a lot of really good foundational knowledge and background information for everybody there. And I think maybe two comments from my standpoint, just in terms of the budget cycle. 2023 was a unique year in the sense that it was an election year. So the council ultimately provided some budget direction based on prior history. But really one of the goals moving forward will be this particular Heritage Committee moving forward. We would really look for your guidance and direction as to what the budget parameters will look like moving forward. So ultimately, what Ms. Hassan just walked us through from a current year budget is something that's been established, and really the goal moving forward will be to seek all of your guidance and strategic input moving forward, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to make that point. One point of clarity, just in terms of the budget timing, in terms of the fiscal, I think I just wanted to make sure we got that right. So any 2024 budget requests needed to be submitted via this committee by June 5th of 2023 for incorporation into our next, which would be our fiscal year for the municipality for 2024. Did I get that right, Mary?
So I believe that the next committee meeting is on June 5th, 2023. So ideally, Lisa, when do you guys usually provide the agenda items? Is it a week prior to that?
So our agenda is made available to the committee members and the public a week in advance of the meeting. So typically 2 weeks prior to that date, so 3 weeks prior to the meeting date is when we sort of start to circulate for requests for items on the agenda.
Yeah, so ideally, if we can get any 2024 budget requests approved by the committee as a whole at the June 5th meeting, that way Courtney, myself, Justine, we can incorporate some of these requests as part of our deliberations with council.
That's good. I just want to make sure we're really clear. And this is an annual process that we go through. So this isn't, for a budget for the next umpteen years. This is an annual process we go through. So I'll just say, stay tuned for some correspondence from township staff in terms of how each of you can look to share your guidance and perspective there. So, any other questions from anybody or points of clarity that you would like before we move on? Okay, thank you, Mary. I appreciate the detail that you went through today. So Lisa, if you can read us a resolution.
That staff report HER 2023-007 entitled Finance and Budget Training be received for information.
Mover Chris, seconder Andy, all in support? Passed.
Thank you very much.
All right, next item is report HER 2023-008 39 Brock Road inquiry. And Lisa, I'll pass it over to you to walk us through this.
Thank you. So staff did receive a request for information regarding 39 Brock Road. And there were 2 questions posed by the individual regarding that property's inclusion in the Heritage Register. The staff have replied to the individual with some answers, including the answers that were given within the report. At this time, given the timelines related to Bill 23, we do not recommend that this property be included in the Heritage Register.
Do we have any questions for Lisa, just in terms of what was incorporated in the report? I think it was fairly straightforward, but if anybody does have any, questions or points of clarity that you'd like to address, please.
So Lisa, could you just go over just the reasons? I haven't had a chance to look through it in detail, but why is this property not going to be included?
So the 2 questions that the individual posed were why it hadn't been included. Based on the evaluation that was done initially to include properties in the Heritage Register, it did not at that time meet the criteria. So its cultural heritage value at that time was considered to not fit the criteria that the committee was looking for. And the other concern is with Bill 23, we are up against some tight timelines in terms of moving properties into designation. That 2-year timeline from the date of being placed on the Heritage Register puts us in a very tight position. We already have quite a number of properties that we're looking to designate. And so we want to sort of prioritize those properties first, because we have identified them already as having a high cultural heritage value.
Thank you.
Any other questions in regards to the 39 Brock Road property? So maybe just one from my standpoint. This doesn't preclude the property from going through the Heritage Registry process. It just, the guidance from staff was that we have higher level priorities that we had previously identified. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct.
Anything else? Okay, Lisa, can you read us the resolution?
That staff report HER-2023-008 entitled 39 Brock Road South be received for information.
Andy? Thank you. Second? Good. Next one. I'm just going to keep rocking right back to you, Lisa. Report HER 2023-009 Interactive Heritage Map and Digital Archive Analytics.
So this report comes to you with an update regarding the analytics for the Interactive Heritage Map and Digital Archive. This report will become an annual tool and sort of has a history with the former Heritage Committee that existed in the last term of council. So there are 2 sources of information that we pulled from: the Engage Puslinch site and the puslinch.ca website. And then just looking at sort of the frequency with which folks are reviewing those materials and the time period that they are engaging with the site for. Justine may be able to provide you with a little more information as well.
Justine, is there anything else that you care to add? All good. Do we have any questions from committee members at all for Lisa or staff, just in terms of the resource that is out there?
This is where the grant will go to the student for the summer term, is that correct?
So the Heritage Summer student will be reviewing our heritage properties that we have based off of some of the work that you guys are going to do, and we'll talk about that a little later through one of the other reports that you have before you today. The Heritage Map and Digital Archive are work that the summer student from last year conducted.
Thank you.
One question of staff, how much publicity has gone into promoting the registry map to residents, just in terms of the relative awareness, and I completely understand 81 views. This can be very much like an inside baseball type of thing. Like unless you're really interested in seeing a heritage map, it's not something that you're probably gonna seek out inadvertently. But I'm just curious if you guys can share what has been done to promote that within the website, or future aspirations of how this may be utilized within, say, some social media posts, so on and so forth.
So one of the primary sources, I think, of promotion for this would be our social media. We do promote it. I believe our discussion was there's 5 posts for 2023 promoting the interactive map and digital archive.
I'm not sure if this is helpful or not, but do we advertise directly to any, like, do we send this information directly to any organizations? Like, I'm thinking of all the churches, for instance. Are we, because not everybody's on Facebook. I am, I follow along, but not everybody is. So are there any other avenues that are sort of local? The people who are on the registry are, you know, are they directly being targeted? I met the student and was involved in some of this, but then it sort of disappeared and I wasn't really sure if I hadn't been following the social media feed, I might have missed it. So are there other avenues?
So as far as I'm aware, we do not provide this information to them specifically, but that's something that with direction of the committee, we can certainly consider.
Through you, Mr. Chair, as well, if it is something that the committee is looking for us to engage with the community more and through different avenues like print, it could be something that the committee could look at through a proposal. We just heard our report from finance on that. So if there's, most of those will require budget funding for it. So it may be something that the committee wants to look at as an objective for a future year. But certainly with Bill 23 and the overall project that we're looking at for designation, there's going to be a lot of outreach there as well.
Right, excellent.
Sorry, can I just ask a question? So this is on, how is it on the town website that you can access this? Or on Facebook, or how would you get access to this?
It can be found on the pluslynch.ca website and on the engagepluslynch.ca website.
Maybe just an action item coming out of this is maybe if we can ask staff just to send a link after the meeting to the committee members so that you're aware of it. Yep. Other questions at all? 2 comments from my standpoint. I think I'd be curious to understand what other like-minded municipalities are doing to promote their respective heritage registries. And think I'll maybe leave that to staff. You have your network of industry peers, but I would be curious if you could share with us at some point how other municipalities are utilizing that resource.
I can just a little bit. So when we looked at this project last year, that was one of the things that we looked at was what other municipalities are doing and what opportunities there might be to share this information. And so that was really where this interactive map and this digital archive came out of, was looking at how people have done it. And I'm sure similarly.
Okay, that's great.
One more question. Do we have, I don't know the township well enough. Do we have any work being done in tourism? Because it also strikes me that among townships, this is a great tourism piece.
Through you, Mr. Chair, council has expressed a desire to look at some of our economic development initiatives going forward. So we work with the county right now on those initiatives such as tourism and other economic development opportunities. And council has asked for more information on that and new ways that we can engage with our community in that way. So I think this is something that staff can take away as we look at those next steps.
Yes.
Other comments, thoughts? Okay, Lisa, resolution.
That staff report HGR-2023-009 entitled Interactive Heritage Map and Digital Archive Analytics be received for information.
Support. Carrie,
Sorry, you're the
Chris,
second.
Chris and Christine. Next one, Report HER 2023-010, 2023 Heritage Conferences. So we'll ask Lisa to walk us through these as well.
So the report before you covers the 2 conferences that the Heritage Committee members are eligible to attend for 2023. The recommendation before you includes appointing members to attend those committees or those conferences, my apologies. So we can have all of our members attend the Community Heritage Ontario Conference, and we have eligibility for 2 members to attend the National Trust Conference.
We to vote on that right now. Or just-
Maybe give a little bit of context for everybody. So within the briefing note, and Lisa did a good job of putting those in. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to scope them out. I think the first one is the Ontario Heritage Conferences in London, the second full weekend in June. It runs Thursday evening through Friday and Saturday. And then the second one is the National Trust Conference. And that's a significantly larger event, and it takes place in Ottawa, the 26th to 28th. So it's larger in scope, if you will. And so one of the key aspects of the Heritage Committee is if particular individuals are interested in attending, there are budgets. Mrs. Sand just walked us through the budget ramifications that have been approved. So certainly attendance isn't mandatory. It's very much if you see value, if you think it would be of benefit to your learning experience to better your role or improve your role or add additional perspective to your role in this committee, it's certainly highly encouraged. So I'll leave it at that. Certainly, the outcome today is what we would like specifically, and correct me if I'm misspeaking here, Lisa. We would like, if you are interested in going to the Ontario Heritage Conference in June, we would like to know today, because there is an early bird registration, that we would like to get individuals enrolled sooner than later, so that the costs are reduced. So I'll stop there. If there are any questions of staff, if they have significantly more perspective on these than others, but it would be very much encouraged if anybody has interest in going.
Can I just ask, what is normally discussed at these conferences? What issues are brought up? And what happens?
I can answer just in my research, but if staff have, I'll maybe leave it to staff first, that maybe have a bit more hands-on experience.
So if you can bear with me a moment, I can actually pull up the Ontario Heritage Conference site, and we can take a look at some of the topics for 2023.
I actually already have that up if I can be helpful. And it looks like transforming heritage is one of the key themes this year. There's a call for presenters. So social cultural reset, environmental reset, economic reset are the things that they have listed. There's not a ton of information at this point. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I can add, I think it's very much in London. It's a combination of speaking sessions where heritage experts are brought forward. I believe there's 3 concurrent sessions that you can basically select which one's most applicable to your particular area of interest, whether that's say churches or other properties or commercial type heritage processes. Or conservation type processes as well. There's a number of tours that within the city of London of particular heritage properties and experiences of individuals or professionals that have gone through that. So I think it's a combination of what I would call like in classroom conference. You typically would get the PowerPoint projection type of conference speaker, as well as some interactive activities, as well as lots of opportunities for networking with with other heritage committee members from across the province. I'm not sure if staff have anything else to add. Justine,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I do have a few things to that, so if you want some examples of kind of sessions that they are looking at providing, there's new technologies for historic purposes, exploring digital tools for heritage and digital history. They've got a session on the Elven House, preserving the past and history for the future. And it looks like they just do the number of series and talks. They have ones that are specific kind to London, and then a wide ranging number of topics.
thanks, Justine. Any other questions of staff on any of the events? The only thing I can add is, and it was discussed at the council, there is value of having more than one person attend. To some degree, you can divide and conquer in terms of topics, or it gives opportunity to network with industry peers, and you're not all on your own type of thing. So I can certainly can appreciate the benefits of that. I'll maybe ask, are there any committee members that are interested in attending the Ontario Heritage Conference in June?
Is it a all or none kind of a thing? Because it's a 4-day event. It looks like there's mostly Saturday. Perhaps we can not go.
Through you, Mr. Chair, my understanding is there are abilities to select certain days to go. So if you wanted to express interest at this meeting, then you could go through that process and work with them for what would work best for you.
Others beyond Lily that would like to attend at all? Okay. Just going to our notes here. I think what we'll look to do, and correct me if I'm not getting the process right, but we would look to approve Lily to attend the Ontario Heritage Conference. And do we have anybody that would be interested in attending the National Trust Conference in Ottawa in October?
That one is of interest to me. I don't know whether I can manage it, so I would need to look into that, but certainly it looks like something that might be helpful.
Others at all? Certainly, I think in terms of process, we'd like to have individuals' names down, and if you end up for plethora of reasons unable to attend, that's fine. But in terms of process, we need to have the committee recommend committee members to attend, and if it happens so that thereafter we can leave it to staff to manage that if it does turn into a conflict.
I guess no one else.
So I'll like to put my name forward for the Ontario, the one in London as well. So the National Trust Conference in Ottawa. Christine, anybody else? Chris, Andy, at all have any interest? We have opportunity for 2 individuals to go to the Ottawa.
I won't fight anyone, but if no one else does, sure.
Christine, any interest in from your standpoint? Okay. I think we have some.
Great. So your resolution before you, that report HER 2023-010 entitled 2023 Heritage Conferences be received for information, and that the following committee members be approved to attend the Community Heritage Ontario Conference: Lily and Councillor Hurst, and that staff be directed to register the approved committee members for the OHC prior to May 16, 2023 in order to be eligible for the early bird conference rate. And further, that the following committee members be approved to attend the National Trust Conference in October: Lily and Christine.
Can we have a mover? Andy, seconder? Chris? On support? Carrie. Okay, next one is report HER 2023-011, the Heritage Register project update, and back over to you.
Thank you. Through the chair, the purpose of this report is to provide the Heritage Advisory Committee with an update on the Heritage Register designations project in response to the Bill 23 legislative changes. So there are two parts to this report. The first being to let the subcommittee members know that you can begin to research the properties that were assigned to you. You'll each receive a USB stick today, or your subcommittee will receive a USB stick. It has several documents loaded onto it for you to take a look at. The couple that are really important are the statement of cultural heritage value Word document. That's going to be what you're going to use for each property when you're evaluating the criteria that is set out in the Heritage Act. That criteria is also provided to you in this USB stick. The resolution that was passed, letting you know which properties are listed for your subcommittee is included, and then individual property information for those properties is also loaded onto these sticks. The second part of the report is to follow up on action item number 3, which is to engage with the property owners. So this is to provide the Heritage Advisory Committee with an update that staff have begun this process. We mailed out letters to the remaining property owners to invite them to an open house on May 31st at 6 p.m. Committee members will be able to attend this evening. It's an information session to sort of explain to the remaining property owners what the designation process is all about, and some timelines and information on what that process would entail should they wish to engage in it.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Do we have any questions or points of clarity for Lisa on the what she just presented? Perfect. Thank you. I did want to do a specific call out for the May 31st event. I think that's really important, and certainly I would very much encourage all of you to attend if you can. It's in the evening, so hopefully that's provides a bit more flexibility in your work week. And I believe I saw some promotion already on that one that's come out. I'm make the assumption that staff will be using the appropriate avenues to promote that.
It will be pushed out to social media soon and posted on our website as well.
And then all the potential heritage properties in question, you maybe just walk us through a bit more detail. So they've each received one individual letter from the municipality, identifying that they've been selected as to go through the process. Is there anything else that we anticipate before the end of May to be communicated directly with those properties in question?
So the letter that was most recently provided to these property owners is inviting them to the May 31st open house. It does also have sort of an FAQ information piece on the back of the letter, sort of helping them kind of understand what the designation process is and why we're asking them to engage with us in this open house.
Good, thanks. And I think everybody should have received, I think I saw some email correspondence, copies of those as well. So if anybody wants to refresh those, certainly ask Lisa. I'm sure she's happy to share a template back with you. Okay, any other questions? All right, the resolution, please.
That staff report HER-2023-011 entitled Heritage Register Designation Update be received for information.
Andy, seconder Lily. On support. Carried. All right, We're rocking through these. The next report, HER 2023-012, the proposed 2022-2026 goals and objectives. And Lisa, can you walk us through this one as well?
So the purpose of this report is to review the goals and objectives that will be carried forward to the 2022 through 2026 term. At this time, we've not actually received any additional goals and objectives forms from any of the committee members. So the recommendation before you today will include appointing members to a Doors Open Slinch subcommittee and an engagement opportunities subcommittee.
So if I can you, Lisa, walk us through a high level terms of reference for each of those subcommittees, just for everybody's contextual knowledge?
So I am going to defer a little bit to Justine here, just because these goals and objectives do predate my term with the township.
Justine.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, in terms of the Doors of Whistling subcommittee, this subcommittee was formed in order to create, so in the past, the prior committee had developed a Doors of Whistling poster, which features doors from various properties included on the register. And so this is a reprint of that poster and an opportunity to promote it at various aspects of the township. So whether that be setting up a booth at the farmer's market, so some opportunities related to that with this one. The next steps for this committee will be going through the process of actually printing the posters. The budget has been approved. We'll kind of be finishing up this one objective. And then regarding the engagement opportunities subcommittee, this committee would be established in order to kind of come up with possible engagement opportunities within the township, as well as and that's the main purpose of these two subcommittees that we're looking at.
Thanks, Justine. I appreciate the context. Do we have any follow-up questions from any of the committee members of Justine, just in terms of context?
If I may, on the Doors Committee, is that joined with the Historical Society? Were they not?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, this is just a township initiative.
Do we have any individuals that are interested in either of these subcommittees at all?
What's the engagement?
Okay, thanks, Chris.
To the Doors.
Doors. Maybe just a point of clarity. Are we looking for two? Okay. Anybody else interested in joining Chris on the engagement opportunity? Or Lily on the Doors Committee?
I'll join Lily with the Doors.
Okay. As a counselor, I'm fine going in the engagement opportunity committee, unless Andy want to arm wrestle me for it. Fair enough. Okay. If you'd like to participate as a third, we wouldn't turn you down, but I think we're good.
So the resolution before you is that report HER 2023-012 entitled 2022 to 2026 goals and objectives be received for information, and that the committee approves the 2022 to 2026 Heritage Advisory Committee goals and objectives as presented for council's endorsement at a future council meeting, and that the following committee members be appointed to the Doors of Slinch Poster Subcommittee, Lily and Christine, and that the following committee members be appointed to the Engagement Opportunities Subcommittee, Chris and Councilor Hurst.
Great. Do we have a mover? Chris? Seconder? Andy? All in support? Carried. One clarifying question. In terms of timelines for these groups, so maybe leave it to staff just to give us some historical context to each of those subcommittees of prior work that each of those committees have done, just to kind of help us guide our direction. Pretty well done here. Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence that anybody would like to identify from staff or committee members? I don't recall I've seen any that I wanted to know. Maybe the only one, and not to put you on the spot, Chris, at all, is there anything from the Historical Society that you think would be of relevance to share?
Yeah, we've got the open house, I think it's on the 27th. We sent out emails to, I think, all the counselors, the trustees, and I'll include everyone on this committee on that as well. So it'll be an opportunity to come in, see the collection, and there'll be sort of the head librarian there to walk you through any particular areas that you're interested in. So please try and come out. I think there'll be refreshments and some snacks, and it's in the library. So if you become bored, you can just walk into the library and do something. I think we're getting both rooms, so there'll be an opportunity for a larger crowd than would normally fit in the committee room. So
fantastic. I think I can share a personal anecdote. My kids go right to the one corner where all the toys. They will pass right on by there. Good. Any other announcements that any other committee members care to share? Any notice of motions? I don't believe we have any. Any new business that anybody would like to identify for today's meeting?
can I ask something? I had an opportunity. I was up in Markham a couple weeks ago. Sorry, more about this. They have this community where when there's an old farmhouse or something that's going to be demolished, they actually move it into like a neighborhood. So they've got this neighborhood of all the old houses, and then they're made available for people to buy. And so it's a way of preserving the past. Plus, it's a vibrant, real neighborhood. I don't know if there's some opportunity to bring this idea into Puslinch, because it's a shame when we see older homes being demoed or falling over. That maybe there's an opportunity to save them, and plus probably make some money. But that's it. That's my new business, just FYI.
Just a question, is it the municipality of Markham that's responsible for that? Is this a
I'm not sure.
private sector initiative?
It looks like the municipality, because the homes will arrive and they appear to be pulled by municipal vehicles. And so it might be a partnership with the builders or somebody, but it's at highway, it's at Markham Road and 16th, I think it's called, and it's just north, sort of the northwest corner. And we had an opportunity to drive through there and see it. I thought, well, this was a wonderful idea, an opportunity to save some heritage homes and sort of, make them more vibrant and alive again. So I don't know if there's an opportunity to reach out and find out some more about that and maybe bring that back for some future consideration.
Maybe just one request of staff. Are you aware of this initiative that Chris identified? And if so, maybe please share. If not, maybe if we could ask that just you get in touch with municipality of Markham and just ask them for a bit more information around what the initiative looks like and how we can learn a bit more about it.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I don't believe staff are aware, but we can certainly reach out and bring some information back to the committee.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else have any new business they'd like to address? Okay, last thing on the agenda. May I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Chris? Seconded?
I'll second that.
There we go. I'll call the meeting adjourned at 2:01 p.m. Great, thanks, folks. Thank you.